Dear students, today we shall be discussing Jayanta Mahapatra's poem Grass. Jayanta Mahapatra is one of the greatest Indian English poets in our times. He was born in the year 1928 in Odisha and he attended Stuart School in Cuttack. He completed his MSc in physics from Patna University, and after completing that he began his teaching career as a lecturer in physics and taught in subsequent years at various government colleges in Odisha. Now, Mahapatra began his writing career in the late 60s. His short stories and poems were initially rejected by several publishers until his poems were published in international literary journals. He was invited to participate in the international writing program at Iowa, which brought him international acclaim and exposure. Now, Mahapatra was one of the leading pioneers, as is mentioned earlier, of Indian English poetry, along with other two stalwarts, namely A.K. Ramanujan and R. Parthasarathi. But he differed from the others in not being a product of Bombay School of Poets. Over the years, he, however, managed to carve a unique poetic voice of his own, different from those of his contemporaries. Now, in terms of the literary output of Mahapatra, it can be said that he authored 27 books of poems, of which 7 are in Odia and the rest in English. His poetry volume includes Relationship, Bareface, and Shadow Space. Besides poetry, he has experimented widely with myriad forms of prose. His published books of prose include Green Gardener, an anthology of short stories, and Door of Paper, essay and memoirs. Mahapatra frequently explores the themes of cultural struggle, identity crisis, and displacement in his poetry. His writing captures the intricacies of current Indian society as well as the difficulties in balancing traditional ideals with changing circumstances. His uses of imagery from ordinary life and Indian landscapes, coupled with a thoughtful and introspective voice, defines his approach to poetry. Now, let us focus exclusively on the poem prescribed in our syllabus, Grass. It's a short poem consisting of 6 stanzas of 3 lines each. The poet moves slowly in a sorrowful mood. He is in a great distress. He seems to be utterly confused also. And he wonders whether he should negotiate and accept grief as his destiny or not. As he's moving towards, he's throwing his head on his shoulders and he hears a hymnal sound of reverberating in the atmosphere. He looks below at the grass, which seems to be chanting a hymn in the glory of the omnipresent. It eases and consoles him. And quote, I watch a little him turning the ground beneath my feet, a tolerant soil making its own way in the light of the sun. This joyous spectacle unfolds before him, quote, an ancestral smell of rot, reminding me of secrets of my own, unquote. The accumulated evils coming down since times immemorial are suggested by the words, quote, lurching into an ancestral smell of rot, unquote. This rot is so thick that it cannot be easily removed. It has even passed into the poet's personality, and all the secrets of his life are soaked in this rot. This rotten state is the root cause of widespread stress, anxiety, frustration, and loneliness. The degenerating and decaying condition of the world, devoid of human values, is described through vivid and highly suggestive imagery. And I quote, the cracked earth of years, the roots staggering about, an impatient sensuality, bland heads heaving in the loneliness of unknown winds, unquote. The poet is eager to change this condition and to make life happier and better. It can be done by destroying the evils of the past. The grass and trees, symbolizing old and decayed social order, must be uprooted. Let the fresh blades of grass germinate and new saplings sprout. Quote, now I watch something out of the mind, skied the grass, know that the trees aimed, sensing the almost childlike submissiveness. My hands that tear their familiar tormentors apart, waiting for their curse, the scabs on my dark draft. Thus, Grass by Jayanta Mahapatra is a poem that speaks to the power of nature and its ability to bring solace even in the darkest of times. It speaks to the idea that no matter how bad things become, nature can always bring us back to a state of regeneration and tranquility. The imagery of grass growing in spite of all the suffering around it is evocative and powerful. The poem highlights the fact that nature is not just a resource to be used, but a source of healing and strength. Its message is one of hope that despite all the darkness, life can still find a way to grow. Thus, grass is a search for meaning in the midst of heap of confusion and mess. It's a celebration and revival of faith in existence. Jayanta Mahapatra seems to put across the main idea that creation depends on destruction. A new world order promising joy and peace, freedom and fraternity can usher only when the present unjust and evil order is completely destroyed.